Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TARDIS Zone. This is the TARDIS Zone Talks. I hope you're all doing very well indeed. And we have some Doctor Who news, not anything to do with the current era, but any fans of Season 10 or Series 10, Peter Capaldi's final season of Doctor Who, are finally going to get the soundtrack that they've been asking for and begging for years. Why this soundtrack was never released is baffling to me. But it's finally happening. I know it's not, for some people, it's not going to be the biggest news in the world. But I do know there are a lot of fans of Peter Capaldi's last season, and in particular the soundtrack, and now that will become available and is to be released. And I will just give you where is it now? I'll just give you where's this article gone? It was here just a second ago. I'm not reading the whole article out, of course, but I had the article there and it's just that it disappeared. That's mad. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Right, it's from the Radio Times, so I'm not reading the whole article out. So Doctor Who fans get prayers answered as long-awaited soundtrack release is finally confirmed. And Louise Griffin, the journalist who wrote the article, says, everyone stay calm. So the season 10 is officially being confirmed. A video on the official Doctor Who social media accounts has confirmed it's happening, although a release date has not been announced. Fans were delighted with the news, with one responding, "It's about time," and another one adding, "We're finally getting Bill's theme after 8 years." One more summed up everyone's feelings by saying, "At last, hallelujah." Now, there has been, as I said, there's been a lot of fans that have wanted this for a long time, and it's finally happening. And you know what? Again, I never understood why we never got the soundtrack. There was different excuses and different rumors and stuff like that. But I just thought it was disrespectful. I mean, the way Peter was thrown on the trash heap anyway was disrespectful, and then not to release the soundtrack was another disrespectful act, in my opinion. Because remember when Jodie came along, I mean, they didn't waste any time putting the soundtracks out for them, and of course, Ncuti Gatwa. So I don't know what the issue was, but for fans of Series 10, I should say, and this will be a good thing, and they will go out and buy it, because you know the Doctor Who fandom is not just the show. You know, there is different elements, as we all are well aware of. Right, you'll have your fans that will collect the magazines religiously. You'll have fans that will, you know, buy Big Finish religiously. Maybe not so much now, but you know, you do have your fans that will buy no matter what, right? And then you have people that they buy the DVD box sets, as you know, and a lot of the classic stuff is being re-released and stuff like that, new fancy box sets and steel books and all of that. And you have your steel book collection fans and all of that, right? And you've got your fans that like collecting the soundtracks of years gone by of Doctor Who, and this was one season, Series 10. I keep saying season, it's Series 10. Peter Capaldi, that was the one that was missing from that collection. And they're finally going to get to complete that now, their Peter Capaldi collection. You know what I mean? Because they'd have the soundtracks for his other seasons, except for this one, which is baffling, as I said. But it's finally happening, folks. But they haven't given a release date yet, which again is another, this is what I'm starting to hate about the BBC now in relation to Doctor Who. They make announcements, right, nowadays, and it's like, oh yeah, it's coming, it's down the pipeline. And they're not giving dates. They're not giving dates for anything. Like, what? Why are they afraid to commit? Like, do they think something's going to happen? Like, the show is already dead in the water. Like, at least give fans some bloody joy. And I suppose this announcement will bring fans joy, but my point is there's still no release date. So how long are fans going to have to wait? Are they going to wait till the end of the year? Are they going to be waiting till next year? The year after? How long more do they have to wait when they've been waiting 8 years? And it's the same with this Toddler Who nonsense. It's actually quite strange that I haven't seen an update on this. Do you remember that they were saying people, the BBC, they wanted people to come forward if they were willing to take on Toddler Who? Well, we haven't heard anything about that. So what's happening with that? Not that I'm a fan of this. I don't think they should be doing it, to be quite honest with you. You know, why are you continuing with this kind of like expanding the universe, right, when the main show is in the mud? What BBC should be putting all their focus on is the main show. That's it. That's their sole priority right now. We got Garbage in the chat. How are you? The leaves are all starting to turn colour now. Autumn is in. I actually do like this season, this time of the year, whatever you want to call it. It's lovely. Can be cold though. That's the only issue with autumn. But the leaves turning colour now. Like, we were out with the dog after, obviously Ted got sent it and all. We went for a walk with him. We had him in his little buggy. He could slag us off, but he has his own little buggy, but I don't care. And we were walking around and all the leaves were falling off the trees, and different shades of red, brown, yellow. It's just amazing. Warm for 2 hours a day. Rest is freezing. That's true. You will. You'll get it. You'll get a bit of mild. Yeah, that's what I mean. Tricks you. But anyway, for fans of Series 10, there's some good news finally. For you are getting your soundtrack. So there you go. And it's about time too. I just don't get why it took so long. I don't know if there were issues behind the scenes in relation to the soundtrack. But there didn't seem to be issues before. So if issues arose, then I wonder what those issues were. If there wasn't any issues, then why did it take so long? Why did it take so long? Did they just decide, after Peter was gone, Chibs came on board, that he just wasn't going to fulfill the obligation to get the soundtrack out and just put all the focus on Jodie Whittaker? Because remember, we did say at the time when Jodie Whittaker was announced, when they did that little video, the key, they gave us hints. Everybody knew there and then it was going to be a woman doctor. Jodie Whittaker appears, and then she's everywhere. She was the most promoted person that was cast that played the Doctor ever. She was everywhere. She was even on, what's that homeless magazine? She was even on that homeless magazine. What's that magazine called again? Oh Jesus, what was it? The homeless guy seller on the streets. What's that magazine called again? She was on that magazine even, like, she was on magazines that you wouldn't even think she should be on. Hold on, I need to know what that Big Issue. That's the one. She was even on the Big Issue. Right? She was even on the Big Issue. Or she was everywhere. She was the most promoted person to play the Doctor. She spent loads of money. She even went to Fashion Week, didn't she? Was she at New York Fashion Week or something? She came out in the black do you remember she walked down the runway and all? Right? She did the stylist interview. Right? That was the first time she started slagging fans off, but all her fans were saying, but she's only messing. Yeah, but that's not how you endear yourself to fans, especially those who are skeptical about a female Doctor. But you still went and did that interview anyway and mocked fans. No point releasing it when RTD is around. To me, man, this should have been out years ago. The way has made not care as much as I would have. The good thing about it is, though, is that what normally happens when they release the album, obviously some people will buy it, but they will put it up on YouTube, so you won't have to actually buy it, but you will be able to check it out on YouTube. I mean, there's a channel dedicated, someone put Murray Gold Topic, and it has all these soundtracks there. I often go in and still, because I love the Doctor Who. I love the Doctor Who soundtrack. It's the New Who music. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, the last few eras, the couple of eras, they've been awful, right? But before Chibs, the soundtracks were actually pretty decent and the music was pretty decent. So, you know, I especially for me, I love. I mean, School Reunion, right? The soundtrack to that, man, the music to that is absolutely fantastic. Seriously. Well, I go back and listen to music. Sometimes when I have a shower, I'll whack on a bit of Doctor Who music, man. Not less. So, you know, I like the music. So I can understand why fans are excited about this. But you're right, Daniel. Yeah, it should have been out years ago. You know what I mean? It just goes to show you that BBC obviously didn't care after Capaldi and Moffat had gone, and they wanted to put all their focus on Jodie Whittaker, which is fair enough, because if you think about it, to make a change like that and to back Chibnall on that change, they had to go all out. You know what I mean? They had to go all guns blazing. And if you remember then, season 2 or series 2 of Jodie Whittaker's era was completely different. She wasn't as promoted as much as she was in season 1. It was like they hedged all their bets with all the marketing and our face everywhere that would draw in an audience. And fair enough, the first episode, she draw in the biggest audience that Doctor Who had in years, right? And we can't deny that. That's a fact, right? But the decline happens almost straight away, and then it's actually very rapid, the decline. I just didn't think it would go even worse under RTD. I thought RTD at least might have stabilised the downtrend, but it became very quick, very evident very quickly that his writing was a hindrance and his lectures were going to absolutely decimate the ratings. And that's exactly what happened. And again, as I said last night, right, I'm sick of this excuse of TV habits have changed. I just like to point out that BBC still do, under their current climate and regime, still do make some hit shows, right? And when they do make some hit shows, right, and they write them well, character development and cliffhangers, right, at the end of their episodes, right? They're drawing in 8, 9, 10 million people watching. So if TV habits have changed, then explain why BBC can still have shows that can reach 10 million. I'll tell you why. Because those shows are better written than Doctor Who, right? It's nothing got to do with TV habits changing, right? Everybody's sick and tired of the streaming model anyway. People are crying out for television to dominate again, to be quite honest with you. Right? Sick of streaming services. They'll even streaming service, even Netflix. Netflix is the biggest culprit though. Right? Forget about all the bullshit surrounding Netflix right now. Just talk about how they do things, right? They will release a couple of shows, right? Okay, this is not. They'll release a couple of shows. They'll have a hit show, right? They'll have a hit show and they'll decide, no, we won't renew that one. We'll renew the two that are struggling, or are you know, and they're the ones that they'll back, right? So that's what I mean. After 1 or 2 seasons, if they do have a hit show, they'll pull the plug on it, right? Whereas on television, they kind of are there for the long term when they do a TV show. They 4 or 5 years ahead. Think, okay, this is the goal. Can we get there? And you know, look at Line of Duty and stuff like that. So don't tell me TV habits have changed. I'm sick of that excuse, right? If Doctor Who was well written, right? I'm not saying it pull in 10 million viewers now like it did in the old days, right? I think those days with Doctor Who are over, right? But respectable for me, right? In this current climate and the way that the show has been treated, if they got around between 7, 8, 9 million, right, and kept that steady, right, and it was steady and consistent throughout the season, right, I would deem that a success in the current climate. Of course, as the seasons go on, I would hope and wish that the ratings continue to grow, right? So that's the whole thing here, right? I'm not buying this TV habits have changed excuse anymore, right? I'm not buying that people will watch later on and all of this crap. If you make a good show, people will tune in that night, and it's proven with the ratings hits that BBC have had with other shows, right? The problem here with Doctor Who has always been the writing, right? That's what's happened here. The quality of writing has dipped. And if the quality of writing dips, and then on top of that, then you have a showrunner who has a vendetta against the whole world, then you're done. You're not going to get anywhere, right? Doesn't matter how hard you try, you're not going to get anywhere. Especially if you come out and then start attacking fans and telling them to fuck off. Like, that's not going to help the situation either. But you know what I mean? The level of writing, the level of talent has dipped. And BBC and all, and everybody's looking around, well, why aren't people watching Doctor Who? Well, yous are racist, right? Yous are bigots. Yous are homophobes. Yous are transphobic, right? Yous are all the labels that they've thrown at us over the years, instead of actually looking at what the real issue is, right? It's all distraction, all of those buzzwords. The real issue here is the writing, and always has been the writing. And if you fix that, at least, right, just that alone, right, because that's what Doctor Who has always prided itself on, is its writing. That's how the classic era thrived, and that's why it's the gold standard, right? It wasn't about CGI. It wasn't about, massive sets, right? Over the top nonsense. It was the writing. The writing shone through, right? And it didn't matter that we had bubble wrap monsters, or we had feckin' plastic tubing hanging out of the ceiling and all of this crap that they did to make Doctor Who look presentable enough for the audience back in the day. The writing did the talking. And that's what reeled people into Doctor Who. That's why Classic Who is the gold standard, right? And as I said, I haven't lowered my standards. I would never lower my standards in relation to Doctor Who. I believe it should be at a certain standard. I'm not saying that it should reach the heights of Classic Who, because I don't think they could ever do that, right? But if you got close enough, I'm happy, right? I'm happy. You respect it. You have the best writers working on the show. They're thrilling the audience. They're good, telling good stories. Character development is off the charts. That's what makes Doctor Who, and that's what has made Doctor Who the best show during its classic reign. And now, have you heard, or can you find out the viewing figures for Matt Smith's repeats on Saturday on BBC Three? I'll look into that. See, I'm in Ireland, so with the BBC, it's a bit weird. But I will try look into that for you, Garbage, and see if I can find that. And I don't know, maybe put in Doctor Who BBC Three Matt Smith ratings on Google and see if that comes up. There might be even a thread from someone who's following it closely, and they would know you. There is actually some good people out there that be able to tell you, but I'll have a look. I get that they have to put much of the focus on the current eras, but you still don't discard those that came before. That's a cold mentality by the corporate powers. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, you know, even after all the talk and all the things that I've said, if BBC showed the same disdain and lack of respect that they've had for the fandom over the years, then anything that they try to do will be dead in the water. The bottom line is, fans are not wrong here in this situation. And I'm talking about real fans, right? And I'm going to say real fans, because I'm sorry, I don't class these other people as fans. They're just interested in different things that happen within Doctor Who, and it's nothing got to do with story or character development, right? You know what it's all about for them. But they're not real fans, but they're the ones that are driving this right now. And that's got to change. And this is why I said the other day, YouTubers like myself, who have been disgusted with what BBC have done over the years with Doctor Who, other fellow WhoTubers that are like me, that also have the same disdain, should come together, form a group, and get a campaign going to boycott Doctor Who. Right, even though it's not on air at the moment, but boycott it, make a list of demands. No, sounds, this is what you have to do in 2025. If you want to be heard now, you have to actually do something, right? The talking has to stop, right? And then look, there's people in the UK. We need to be, people in the UK need to be getting together as well. Doctor Who fans, you know, need to start organising protests outside the BBC or outside Cardiff, Bad Wolves, wherever. Whatever we have to do, right? It's as simple as that. You're not going to get anything done behind your computer screen anymore. We can organise people and rally people, obviously, here. And that's the point of using this platform. But we need to actually start. Remember, back in the day, if anybody had a problem with a TV programme on BBC or ITV, there was always someone else protesting. Even if one person showed up, right? Even if one person showed up, there's still people walking by that building. People start getting curious. And most people, look at in 2024, I think most people would agree with us, right? The British public don't watch Doctor Who anymore. And even That's what I mean. You look at RTD1, the British public were watching Doctor Who, along with Doctor Who fans. Right? The British public are not watching. They fell out of love with Doctor Who. They will watch Doctor Who if it tells a good story. Right? And they've already proven that no matter what people think of RTD1 and Stephen Moffat, within those two eras, there are stories that everybody loves, right? And I don't care if you're a bit out with the BBC right now and you absolutely hate them with a passion. I know for a fact deep down that every single one of you have a favourite story from those eras, right? Okay? So they've proven, BBC and these fellas at the time, proven that good Doctor Who, great Doctor Who can work and bring in the British public. You just can't make the same mistakes that they made. We need new blood, and I'll keep saying it. And this is the message that should be conveyed by all YouTubers that feel the same way as me. I'm not telling you what to do, but I will say this: we need to come together as fans and do something, right? If we want to save this show, basically, right? Look, we've got to start making some proper noise now, right? And remember, when we made noise during the Jodie Whittaker era, right? Even though, you know, it had minimal impact, BBC did still respond. Remember that. People forget that, right? BBC had to put out a couple of statements, right, during the Whittaker era. So fan pressure can work. It just needs to be organised. But we need to be, you know, fans cannot accept a below standard Doctor Who anymore. And that includes some on their side. And look, I'm not having a go, right? I'm not having a go because I ended up watching the series as well to review it, I suppose. But we all need, if the new showrunner that comes along, right, say BBC do go it alone, they bring in a new showrunner, and that showrunner is cut from the same cloth as RTD. There and then, we should buy Doctor Who and not even review it. And I mean it this time. We should not review it, right? If we don't review it, we're not putting attention on it, right? And these fans are not going to, these fans, as I said, are not going to keep the show afloat, right? But we need to, as I said, we need to actually take proper action here. So what we do is, new fella comes in, whoever comes in, give them a chance, see what they say, listen to everything that they say in interviews, right? Don't ignore red flags like everybody did, including myself, right? I'm blaming myself here as well. I'm not throwing throwing mud at anybody. I'm throwing at myself as well, right? We all just need to stop. As soon as the red flag, that's it, done. We need to do what Lee did. Lee was the one that, he didn't watch it. Saw the red flag, he didn't watch it. And he's all the better for it. He'd see what everybody else saw, the clips and stuff like that, but he didn't watch it. And that's what we need to do. We need to stop. We need to stop promoting them. The bigger channels as well need to do the same thing. They need to stop talking about Doctor Who if the new showrunner comes in and they're the same as RTD. It needs, so there has to come a point where we say enough is enough. Like, we've had two eras now, two showrunners that have brought the show past the brink. Let's be honest. And the chances of Doctor Who continuing, even though BBC have the desire to continue it, right? To us fans right now, we know that it's very slim chance that this show recovers. So it's at the weakest point it's ever been at. So we just need to push a little bit. And I don't care. Listen, I'm just going to say this. I know there'll be certain people listening to this that'll end up doing videos and criticizing me for telling people to boycott. And your boycott is not going to work and all of this other stuff. And I'm going to stop you and all of this. Listen, don't even bother or waste your time. Yeah. Because the bottom line is this, right? If something doesn't change with Doctor Who, yeah, then you won't have something to praise or bitch or moan about, right? So we either all come together as one fandom and demand that Doctor Who is respected and Doctor Who goes back to doing what it does best, or you can accept more mediocrity from the likes of Chibs, RTD, and then the next gobshite that they bring in, right? Or you can demand that Doctor Who and the BBC do right by it and do what's best for the show and give us the best of stories, best character development. And don't tell me you can't do that today in 2025. You can. But it's not about as I said again, it's not about CGI and all this massive. Listen, Disney Who looked spectacular. Nobody will deny that. In some parts it looked a bit bogey, right? But overall, it looked spectacular. Right? It's the most spectacular looking season that I've ever seen, right? Nobody can deny that. Maybe there will be a few that'll deny that. But for me, I have to admit, it was wow, right? But the bottom line is, right, you could polish a turd, right? But it's still a fucking turd. And that's what it was. It was absolutely rubbish, right? If you don't have substance behind that, if you don't have a foundation, forget about the glitz and the glam, right? Doctor Who is different. Right? Doctor Who depended on its writing to survive. Right? Big American shows were different, yet they were written well, but they had budgets behind them to do that lovely CGI and stuff like that. Doctor Who didn't have that. BBC didn't have that privilege. So they focused on the writing. And this is another thing, someone brought it up as well. We've brought it up plenty of times on this channel as well. Leah spoke about, we've all spoken about saying that ever since Doctor Who continued to get a bigger budget, the quality reduced. The quality of the writing got worse. And think about it, RTD gets the biggest budget of all, and look what he produced, the worst of all. So big budgets here is not the answer, right? Cut the fucking budget, right? Cut the budget. Do you know what I say this, right? Whatever money you gave Stephen Moffat to do his first season, that's how much the new showrunner should get, right? That's it. And yeah, people say, well, you're crazy, that was years ago, inflation. I don't give a shit, right? That means then that the showrunner is forced to get creative. He's forced to bring in the best talent. Stop giving these fucking idiots big budgets, right? You make them work on a budget. You say, right, this is how much you're getting for each episode, and you've got to make it work. End of story. And if you don't make it work, you sack them. You have to be ruthless. Robert says, I said my piece in the survey the BBC did a few months back. The fandom is word of mouth. Once you lose the fandom, you lose the general public standard optics, hence my name change and stuff. The atmosphere is more likely to accept a boycott, says wrestling reviewer Daniel. Doctor Who shouldn't have any more budget than any other BBC drama. Yeah, that's fair, Robert. That's fair. I mean, as I said, you know, to fix Doctor Who is an easy fix. Fix the fandom and all the shit that went with it. That's going to be harder. Like, but to fix the show, it's actually an easy fix. They just need now to take one more risk, and the risk is you bring in fresh blood. I don't want anybody that's worked for this show during the New Who era. So if they start working on this show from 2004, when they start working on it, right, all the way, I don't want them part of it. I want fresh blood, right? That's it. End of story. If you bring in someone that's worked on the show before, it'll be a red flag for me, right? And it won't be. Well, depend who it is. There's nobody I want now. I know we mentioned names years ago when we were doing this, who we, like Toby Whithouse and people like that. Now I'm past all that shit now, right? I don't want any of these people that worked on Doctor Who before to be working on the show again. We need fresh blood, right? And we need people that will solely focus on making the best version of Doctor Who rather than focusing on the personal ideology or the personal beliefs or the personal politics and then inserting it into the show. Right? We want science fiction. That's what Doctor Who is. Science fiction. They have forgotten that. Right? Look at the last couple of eras anyway. Right? We're science fiction. Would you call those two eras science fiction? There was nothing science fiction about those eras. So it's just fans are just gonna have to cop on. Just have to cop on. Because look, repeating the same thing over and over is insanity, right? And that's what we've been doing for years as a fandom, this side of the fandom. We're doing the same thing and hoping that there'll be change. We give a showrunner the benefit of the doubt. We'll watch the first episode. We're let down straight away, but we continue to watch. It needs to stop. We need to say enough is enough. There has to be a time where we just say, pull the plug and just say, look, we're done. But then focus our energy on getting people to have nothing to do with Doctor Who until BBC start listening. And I know it's harsh. And I know some people will have an issue with that. But as I said, I'm gone past caring about your feelings. I'm gone past caring about the other side's feelings as well. I don't give a shit. Right? You don't care clearly about wanting Doctor Who to survive like you claim you do. You claim you do. But why would you want RTD to stay? Why would you want the current regime to continue to sink the show any lower? I don't get that. Surely you'd want what was best for Doctor Who. Right? Because after all, that's what we're all here for. We're here for Doctor Who. People kissing RTD's ass and defending him is not going to fix the problems that we have. What, you think he's going to suddenly wake up and decide, you know what, yeah, I have messed up. Let's do it properly. He's not going to change. So that's why, the fact that it's rumored that he's gone, to me, yeah, it is a little bit of good news, but as I said, there's no time to be celebrating right now because the next showrunner, whoever they pick, this is the defining moment now. This is it. This is it for some fans. Obviously, I know it's already passed for some fans, but this is it. If they don't make the right choice, it's game over before they've even started. I'm taking this win and leaving this show forever. It ended with season 10 for me, says Jack. Yeah, look, I was saying about it earlier on. A lot of fans are obviously been waiting for this a long time. Over 8 years. So, season 10, I actually like season 10. You know, I know season 10 gets a, a bit of stick, but I actually like it. I like Bill Potts as well. And I was actually gutted that we never got a second season. But the fact that they never released the soundtrack always annoyed me. And like I've spoke about in the past on this channel about that, like it just seemed to be another bit of disrespect towards the Capaldi era. But I'm glad that people that have been collecting the soundtracks are actually going to finally get to finish their Peter Capaldi collection. Uh, uh, that is some good news. But Jack, it is. See, this is the fan that I feel sorry for. You know, I'm taking this win and leaving this show forever. It ended with season 10 for me. Like you know what I mean? That's heartbreaking. You know, another fan that's disenfranchised with the show and probably is gutted about it. Nobody wants to really turn their back on Doctor Who. That's the thing. But some fans have just gotten to the point where, for their own mental health as well, because they don't want to keep complaining about it, they've walked away. It's madness. We shouldn't be able to know the agenda of the showrunner in the script. That's obviously that's not escapism. Look, this is the problem with the whole industry at the moment, isn't it? They've forgotten what their primary goal was. As someone made the point, you know, people see shit and hear shit all day during their daily lives now, especially in 2025. And then when they switch on the telly, it's all over the news, and you know you see ads of stuff happening around the world on the TV. And then when you switch on your favorite show, that's when you're supposed to kind of like, you know, switch off from all of the shit that's going on. And Doctor Who and even shows like Line of Duty, EastEnders, you know, Coronation Street, you know, all of the usual suspects over in the UK. When you switch them on, you're switching them on because you want to escape from the real world. But yeah, when you switch on, you're still getting the same shy lecture to you in these shows. So there is no escapism. This is why everybody's gone crazy. Right? Politics everywhere. It doesn't matter where. Politics, ideology, whatever. Gender everywhere. Thank God here we watch what we want to watch. We don't have Netflix. We don't have Disney Plus. We've no streaming app. Right? We've none of these streaming apps. Don't even have regular TV. Right? Don't know what's been going on in the news. Right? Sorry. Don't know what's been going on in the news over here in this country because I don't watch it. Right? I don't watch propaganda bullshit. I watch what I want. I watch whatever shows that I like. You know what I've been watching lately? No mess. I've been watching Michael Douglas in the streets of San Francisco, right? An old detective show, right? That's what I've been watching lately, right? The other day, we actually watched we've been watching the Final Destination franchise from the beginning. That's been what did we watch the other day? What did we watch the other day? Movie. We watched. What did we watch? It was How do I forget when we watched it the other day? What was it we watched the other day? I forget. Holy shit. What did we watch the other day? Oh, she's got her earphones on. It was I'm trying to think who was even in the fucking movie. It was an old one anyway. But we're watching old movies. I've watched the Men in Black trilogy again, but I already told you that the last time I was on. But we've just been watching movies and old TV shows. I'm back watching The Tudors again. And I've been watching Lost. What? Jesus, the fact that I can't even think of the movie that we were watching. Oh, we did watch the new Naked Gun, by the way, which I had zero expectations going in. And I have to say, for me, look, I know people probably didn't like the movie or whatever, but I actually found it funny. Usually into that sort of comedy. I suppose I have seen it with Father Ted, kind of, so kind of declimatized to it. But I actually found it quite funny, that movie. And Pamela Anderson was actually very good in it as well. I mean, the chemistry between her and Liam was undeniable. No wonder they're actually going out with each other now. You could see it in that movie. But it was actually quite good. I wasn't expecting to laugh as much as I did. That's what I'll say. And you know what? If a movie makes you laugh, that's and it's a comedy, and that's what it's supposed to do. Well, then, as far as I'm concerned, job done. You know. So I did have quite a laugh watching that. And I'm still trying to think of the movie we watched the other night. I just can't. I'm even trying to think of the logo track up. Do you know what? No, it's gone. It's gone. I just can't think what we saw. Oh yeah, I know. I remember now. We watched the original Jumanji with Robin Williams. That's what it was. We watched Jumanji. And you know what? Even the CGI monkeys, you know, you know that they're CGI, of course, but do you know what? It held up well. I mean, the same with them robbing the cop car is probably one of the funniest scenes in the movie. But I loved the original Jumanji when it came out. So to watch it again was actually deadly. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. I'm not watching. Listen, I haven't watched except for the Naked Gun. You know, I tried to watch Alien Earth, but I won't get into that on this channel. But let's just say I'm not watching that again. And I gave it a go, gave it a chance. The first episode was actually half decent. I thought, okay, maybe we're going to get something. But of course, you know, that's how they suck you in. They make the first episode a bit decent, and then, you know, they fool you. Media student all too often goes into TV in order to present their politics. Just entertaining seems old hat to them these days. Absolutely fantastic comment, and I agree. I wasn't easy to turn my back, but I had to for my own state of mind. Says Daniel, I only watch an hour and a half of TV a day these days. Lots of YouTube. Yeah, I'm the same. I rotate between the two. I'm actually watching this Irish fella because I'm on this buzz at night time now when I just want to relax. I put on this fella. Well, I do a lot of the camping bushcraft videos, but I found an Irish fella. He's called Paddy Bushcraft, and he builds underground bunkers and tree houses and little huts for him and his dog Goji to stay in overnight. So he builds the thing and stuff and shows you how he puts it together and all. So I do watch that on YouTube, and of course I've got me Man United stuff on YouTube as well that I watch and all of that other jazz. So yeah, it's like I said, movies and TV shows that I want to watch, and then obviously on YouTube. And I just saw actually on YouTube, and I checked, and it is the full movie. Now I haven't watched it on it, but the full movie is there. And it's free because you know the way YouTube's changed now. People are actually throwing movies up now. But I saw Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd's trading places there. The full movie is on YouTube free. So, look, there's plenty to entertain. Of course, you have the YouTube movies as well. Some of them are not great, but some of the conspiracy ones will be really interesting. Even if you don't believe in the conspiracy, the whole thing does be very cleverly put together and stuff. Like, you do get some decent movies like that. Then, of course, you got your real awful ones. But there you go. Anyway, look, there's nothing really else to talk about now because, until the spin-off comes out and until we get news on either RTD's future or Doctor Who's future, there's not going to be too much, is there? So, yeah, we'll see what happens with this soundtrack and see when the release date is. If they had anything about them, they would have it ready to go for Christmas. I think there'll be a lot of happy Doctor Who fans Christmas morning if they woke up and that was one of their presents, to be quite honest with you. So if they had anything about them, they'll release this year in time for Christmas. But there's not many very clever people, it seems, working for the BBC because they don't seem to know what to do or how to behave in relation to Doctor Who. I'll just say you need someone like me in that organisation, right? Just tell them as it is and just say, look, he's doing it right. He's pathetic. Why are you even here? Who hired you? Right? Seriously, man, there's too many stragglers working at the BBC. There's too many people working for the BBC who shouldn't be working for the BBC. Right? They don't have the talent. Right? And if the head of drama can't see what's happening with Doctor Who, well, then the head of drama, in my opinion, needs to resign. Right? Okay? And as I said, the head of drama, they do have email addresses. They do. The BBC do put up email address if you want to contact you. People always forget that you can actually contact these people. Now, whether they'll answer the emails or not now, that's a different story, right? But we have seen in the past that they have responded by coming out with statements, right? But you need to be getting on these people's back. I'm not saying be abusive. I'm saying sending an email and telling them how you feel about the current state of Doctor Who and what they need to do to fix it. and be nice about it. You don't have to be angry here, right? You don't need to be angry here. All you just need to do is get your point across in a nice, respectful manner, right? And done. And as Robert said, they did put out a survey and all of that, and fans did take part in that survey. But remember, a lot of those surveys, I would say, do get hijacked by the left. They do get hijacked by these fans. So this is a proper way. They can't intercept, the left can't intercept their emails. Like, we need to start being more vocal. Remember, they're a vocal minority, right? But they have a lot of people behind them that can get that message out there, including the media. We need to be going over their heads now and doing what I suggested, right? We need to have our voices heard, right? To keep listening to the wrong people. And to keep listening to the wrong people, they're going to keep making the same mistakes. Remember what Lee said, and he was right. This is the most dangerous time for Doctor Who now, right? Whoever comes out on top of this, right, will decide the future of Doctor Who. Now, do you want the same fans and the same people who've been praising RTD and Chris Chibnall over the last few years to dictate the direction that this show goes in like they have? Or do we now finally say we've had enough, go over their heads, and as I said, start a campaign and get the BBC to start listening to us? Right? Because at the end of the day, if they listen to us, they will have the tools to help them move forward with this show, because they'll understand the grievances of real fans, not trendsetters or people that come into the fandom because they want to see who kisses who and all of this other crap, right? Real fans, real science fiction fans, real fans of Doctor Who. We're not going to tell you how to write the show, because that's still down to yous. But we could tell you where you have went wrong with the last two eras especially, and point out the glaring mistakes that you have made. And then it's up to yous then to take that on board and learn from it. I'm not saying that fans here, us, should dictate, the stories and stuff like that. Not like the left, right? Because they have, could you put in LGBT stuff? Make sure you put in stuff for disabled people and all this other stuff. And then whack them in the background, or make a mockery of them, or put rockets on their wheelchair or something. You know what I mean? Then send out mixed signals about people in wheelchairs. On one hand, say that they're evil with the Davros stuff, right? And then, on the opposite side, then, have your woman working for UNIT and rockets coming out of her fucking wheelchair. The man didn't even know what he was doing there. What kind of messaging were you giving to people in wheelchairs? Because I could tell you pissed Daniel off, and you pissed a lot of other people off that were in wheelchairs. I remember the reaction to that. Even people that, were on that side that were in wheelchairs were disgusted. But yeah, you just let us slide with them. Right? That's the greatest thing ever. Because he's going to bring in trans people. Right? We set out a manifesto of sorts, or bullet points, where they've went wrong, and what they must do to rectify it. And that's it. Publish it. Get all the YouTubers that are like-minded to publish it, read it out. If we can get Gary from Neurotics, I know he's busy these days, but we can even get him to do something on his channel to read it out. make the demands. You know, let's be honest, RTD knows that he's around. He used his hashtag, RTD did. So, you know what I mean? These people watching. But look, again, this is all what I would do. Of course, I'm a small fish in a very big pond, and I don't have much of a pull or a reach. So this has to be done by people that have pull and reach. Of course, I will join in like everybody else will join in, because obviously, what's the point of mentioning it if I'm not fucking join in? Of course, I'm going to join in. But, you know, it'd be different if I had 100,000 subscribers, then, you know, I would lead this. But this is just me throwing out the idea. This now needs to be, we need to find the biggest YouTuber in the community and see if they feel the same way as we do about Doctor Who, and try get them on board, and then they lead the charge on this with the rest of us behind them. As I said, if I had the pull, I'd do this myself, but I don't have the pull. We know that, right? I might have made waves back in the day being a small little YouTuber, but it's different these days. The climate is completely different. I don't have the pull maybe that I would have had a few years back when we got boycotts going and stuff, and we got statements out of the BBC when we all came together and worked together. It's different now. These lefty loons play with identities like 4-year-olds play with dolls in a sandpit. I do agree with you. But, you know, this is what we need to do. Daniel's brought up Mr. TARDIS. Jesus, don't go there. Right, he put up a post. Right. Do you remember I did a video on him the last time when he asked people to pay for his car? Do you remember his car was something happened to his car, and he wanted people to pay for his car, and I called him out for it. Now there is a difference, right? There is a difference between someone that's monetized like me and has a buy me a coffee, blah, 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 to someone like Mr. TARDIS who comes out with, like, can you send us money to fix me car? His latest one is now he wants some Thunderbirds figures, but his wife, apparently, he can't justify the cost of this to his wife. So he's asked people to actually buy. I'll read out his direct quote, because once I read out his direct quote, like, you know, he can't say that I'm misrepresenting him. So this is what he says. Who wants to treat me for Christmas? I cannot justify this impulse purchase to my wife, but I know you folks will understand the need. And it's bundle C31 Ultimate Thunderbirds Fab collection. And it's $184.95. Now, in the current climate where people are struggling to pay bills, and I'm one of those people, right? Struggling to pay bills, right? I haven't come out and begged people to help me out, to buy me a toy, right? Or to fix me car, right? I mean, who the hell do you think you are? Apparently you're employed or self-employed or whatever, and you run a YouTube channel with how many subscribers? What's it, over 40, 50,000? I forget how many subscribers you actually have now. But you've got way more than me, way more than a lot of other people in the Doctor Who fandom. And you're begging people to buy you Thunderbirds toys. Man, have you lost all your brain cells? When people are struggling because of a Labour government, a government that you actually supported, by the way. Let's not forget that Mr. Tardy there is a lefty. He's a Labour Party man, right? So their policies have crippled people and are struggling to pay their bills or get their kids into school, a uniform in the back, or feed their kids, and you're asking people to give you to chip in and give you 184.95 for some toys. By the way, they are lovely, and I am a Thunderbirds fan myself, and I would love them, but I would not have the cheek to ask my subscribers or my followers on X to give me €184 to pay for toys. If I was going to ask my subscribers for money or for help, it'd be for genuine reasons, right? It wouldn't be so I can, get a bit of joy. It's because I actually need. It's a necessity. These toys are not a necessity. You don't need these toys, and as you've pointed out, because you like to big yourself up, you're walking, right? You have a YouTube channel, right? You even have membership, and if I'm correct as well, you're on that other platform where people pay to watch your videos as well, right? So why the hell are you asking your subscribers and your followers on X for 184.95? I mean, if you are actually stupid enough to give him money for that, more fool you, right? More fool you. The man is in a better position than most he is out there, right? While most people are struggling, he's not struggling, right? He doesn't come across as a man that's struggling. And I'm pretty sure his missus is not sitting around either. So she probably works as well. She does something to bring income in. So there's no way that he should be asking for that money. Imagine I can't justify this impulse purchase to my wife. So I'm asking yous. I'm getting out the Oliver Twist begging bowl, and I'm going to ask yous to buy me this present. Jesus Christ, last year I saw this. I showed you. I saw, as you know, I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. And he had the replica of the train at the end of Back to the Future 3. Right? And he had the replica. And I went in to have a look. The thing was 800 fucking quid or something. Imagine if I had said to you guys, look, lads, look, this is what I really want. But I need 800 quid. Could you imagine? You'd be telling me to get the fuck out the door, man. Right? The fucking cheek of him. First it was his car. Now he's looking for Thunderbird stuff. What next? What next? What will it be next? Seriously. Cheek of him. Cheek of him. People are struggling out there. Struggling to pay fucking bills and pay their rent. This fella's asking. Yeah, next week it'll be a house. Yeah, he'll ask us to pay for his new fucking gaff. But this is the thing, in this modern day and age, especially in 2025, you'll have some gobshites that will. Do you know what I mean? You do see it all the time with all of these GoFundMes being set up for people. You're like, okay, I know they were involved in it, but what are you setting up a GoFundMe for? And but people give the fucking money. So he's got to be gobshites out there that'll actually give him money for that. And watch then. When he gets them, then he'll parade them on his channel. I don't know where this self-entitlement came from on YouTube. I don't know why. It seems to be a trend with just society as a whole. Everybody, you see you've seen the videos of the Twitch streamers and all of this, girls and blokes giving out to their subscribers because they're not donating enough and all of this other shit. It's mad. getting upset because someone gives them $5 instead of 20 and all of this. Like, get out. Has he tried OnlyFans? A lot of money to be earned on there. So a friend said, well, that's what I mean. But that's the issue. That's the problem that we have. Yeah, money is just like so easy now on social media, on those sort of platforms. And nobody gets a real job. When the gravy train runs out and all these people are uneducated and jobless, what are they all going to do then? Maybe write for Doctor Who, what? Anyway, look, I'm going to leave it there because dinner time. So I'm going to make some. We didn't have the pizza last night, so we're going to have pizza tonight. So that's what we're going to do. So I will talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if there's anything that you would like me to chat about tomorrow, just put it in the comment section. I'm pretty sure I'll find something to talk about anyway. But if there's anything in particular that you would like my opinion on, leave it in the comment section, and I will get back to you. Anyway, have a good one, folks. And as you know it outro, so I'm just off straight away. Have a good one, and enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll talk to you soon. You never know, I might come back tonight. It depends. Have a good one. Bye bye.